Hey there, I just wanted to take a little bit of time out of the day today to talk to you guys about some of the tips that I've used to hit over 20,000 words in a writing day. So first of all, I want to just remind everybody or state right at the beginning, there's nothing magical about 20K. Your goal can be 5K, 10K. Basically, we're talking about making a stretch goal for yourself that's bigger than what you tend to have written in the past before, and then going for it. So again, the first thing that you want to do before you even attempt to hit a 20K day or whatever the case may be, I'll probably keep on saying 20K, but feel free to just insert whatever your stretch goal is. So first I wanted to talk about how to know your goal. So your goal should be something that stretches you, but it's not so out of your realm that it's just going to feel impossible to you. And so if you've never written more than 3,000 words in a day, your first stretch goal probably would be more in the 5 to 7K realm. Or if you've written 5K in a day but have never made 10K, try hitting a 10K day before you even think about hitting a 20K day, right? So the tips that are going to help you are going to be the same, whatever your stretch goal is. Once you figure out your goal, what you want to do is really know your why. Why are you doing this project? Why do you have this goal? Some people, I don't recommend doing any of the things I'm about to say because some people are great at just writing 1,000 words a day or a chapter a day and just writing every single day very methodically, writing for an hour a day, whatever it is. If you've got a system that works really, really well for you, then I don't recommend you go through this. But for people who do want to hit just one big word count day, these are some of the things that you can do. And then another just word of warning is that the goal isn't to write 20,000 words every day for 5 days or all month long, right? So the idea is you can hit one of these big word count days and then take some time off, let your brain decompress. The other thing you want to decide going into it is what project are you going to be working on? Because some projects are going to be easier than others. So if you have a novel that's really, really complex or in a genre that you're not as familiar with, or you want to write a nonfiction book, but it's maybe an intimidating subject for you, those might not be great projects for trying to hit a stretch goal. A good project for trying to hit a stretch goal is something that you're already pretty excited about and maybe feel some momentum going into. So I want to talk first, before we get into tips about what to do when you're actually writing and when your 20K day arrives, I want to talk about some of the practical prep work that's going to help you be successful. So first of all, you're going to want to pick a day where your schedule is clear, where there's nothing else going on. You don't have outside obligations. That's going to be pretty important. It's also important for you to just kind of know your own biorhythms. If I try to hit a 20K day on a Monday, that's for me going to be hit or miss because I'm rested for the weekend, but I'm still kind of getting back into gear. Same thing, if I try to hit a big word count day on a Friday, sometimes for me, my brain's already starting to shut down for the weekend. So, ask yourself just when in the work week do you feel most inspired? When practically do you have the most time? And I think it's important, especially for the first time or two that you're trying to hit one of these really big stretch goals, is to have that day kind of planned in advance because there is some prep work that goes into it. I'm not talking about outlining your book in advance. I don't outline most of my books. Every once in a while, I'll do a brief outline for nonfiction, but for my novels, I'm a complete pantser. So I'm not saying that you've got to do outline prep work, but there's a lot of just practical and even psychological prep work that's going to help you be more successful going into this 20K day. So let's talk about some of the practical prep work first. So you want to pick a day where your schedule is clear. You want to kind of take care of any logistics that needs to be taken care of. So maybe that means getting extended hour or two of babysitting for the kids after school, or figuring out meals ahead of time, things like that. Just any of your daily obligations, whether that's as a parent or whatever it is, figure out how you're going to handle those things. It's also important to just have your document ready. You can for sure start a project on your 20K day, or you can use your 20K day to finish a project. But especially if you're starting something new, you want to make sure that your document's kind of prepared so that whatever formatting work you do ahead of time for your document, it's taken care of. So maybe that includes like your title page and your chapter headings or things like that, just so that you're not wasting a lot of time and mental space on the day of your 20K day to get those things figured out. You also want to have your workspace prepped. I'm going to strongly recommend that you work with an ergonomic keyboard, especially if you're trying to hit one of these really high word count days, because otherwise you can definitely get into some carpal tunnel issues. Some people also have a really hard time working when there's clutter around. So if you're at all like that, or maybe if you're the kind of person who you procrastinate by cleaning up, get things tidy the day before. So you have your desk space clean, you've got what you need, got your snacks or whatever. And so that it feels like a warm and inviting place. Basically, you want to create an environment where there's hardly any friction between when you turn your computer on and just start writing, right? So if you're like, okay, what am I going to call this book? Where should I save this document? Or, oh, look, my desk is a mess. Let me tidy this up. All of these things can sort of turn into excuses to procrastinate. And so what you want to do is the day before you hit your major day is just take care of all of those tiny details. And some of that has to do with knowing your own distraction weaknesses. So ask yourself, when you get into a really difficult point in your manuscript, what do you tend to do? If what you tend to do is waste time on social media, then maybe you unplug your router for the day. Or maybe you post in some of the groups, hey, you know what, I'm going to be tied up all day tomorrow. If you see me online, yell at me. I'm not supposed to be online. Or if you kind of go to your inbox, you can set up an autoresponder to just be like, hey guys, any emails that come in on the day of your writing, I'm taking the day to write. I'm not going to be in. So figure out the things, like I said, for some people it's tidying. You get into a difficult part of your past and like, oh, well, let me go tidy up my desk or, organize my bookshelf or something. Figure out what you can do ahead of time so that those practical problems for you don't creep up. There's also some psychological prep work that's going to go into your 20K day. And so this again is why it's really important to know your why. I don't recommend that you say, I'm going to do a 20K day just to say I've done a 20K day. Now, I think it's fun to push yourself, but I think there needs to be more deeper reasons behind it than just to say you did it, right? And so figure out the why of it. Spend some time. What I like to do is the night before when I'm lying in bed, I like to spend some time just picturing how it's going to feel. Like I picture myself, okay, Alana, you wake up, you get your breakfast, you get your coffee, you get your kids settled for what they're going to be doing for the day. You turn on your computer. What do? I actually like to picture that. So like picture, how a gymnast, before they compete in the Olympics, for example, they're mentally going through their entire routine. I feel like we can do the same thing as authors. Picture yourself getting up, showing to your computer, and even picture some of the resistance. Okay, you show up and you feel overwhelmed because it sounds really scary to hit a 20K day, or maybe this is a brand new document and a brand new manuscript, and so you feel intimidated. How are you going to get past that point? So I like to spend time the night before just picturing some of the success. I also like to create a contingency plan. So what my contingency plan looks like will be, okay, I'm going to write, but I also know that sometimes it's okay to step away. So your contingency plan can be things like, I will allow myself to not reach my word count goal if this or that happens. For me, like if I feel like I'm getting sick, because that's how my body deals with overwork, I just get sick, I catch cold. And so if I feel that coming on, that's my body sign, okay, time to be done, even if I haven't met the goal. And that's totally okay. Other contingency plans, sometimes what I'll do, if I'm worried that I'm going to hit writer's block or something, I'll tell myself, okay, you're going to be working for this many hours, but if you absolutely can't work on this project, then you're going to switch gears and work on that project. So maybe that's a different book or some editing you have to do, or maybe it's scrubbing toilets, right? You say, okay, I'm going to be writing, and if I'm not writing, I'm going to make myself scrub those toilets. That can actually be pretty motivating to keep writing up. So these are just some of the ways to just kind of psych yourself up for your 20K day. I also like to plan a reward for myself. Sometimes these are just little rewards, like, for example, okay, every time I hit 5,000 words, I'm going to give myself creamer with my next cup of coffee as opposed to just almond milk. I mean, it can be something very small. Or, okay, if I hit my 20K day, what I like to do is I like to pick a number that's somehow related. So like if I hit a 20K day, I might reward myself by buying $20 worth of houseplants as a reward or something. It doesn't have to be big or fancy. Last year, what I did is each 1,000 words I wrote, I gave myself $1. And whenever I had enough money, I paid someone to come clean my house. It was pretty nice. So having little rewards for yourself can also help you stay motivated. All right, so now we're to the fun part. Now we get to talk about what to do when your 20K day arrives. And so we've talked about just the prep work logistically and some of the psychological prep work to kind of motivate yourself. Now, when it comes time for your actual 20K day, the biggest things, and this is going to sound very counterintuitive, but I definitely encourage you to take breaks. So typically what I like to do is I like to write in half-hour sprints with at least a 5 or 10 minute break in between and a significantly longer break at least every 2 hours. So the times I've hit 20,000 words in a day, it has not been I wake up at 4 in the morning and type until midnight. That's for me a recipe of getting really, really sick and really burnt out and having a kind of miserable day. And so the times where it's worked for me are when I'm taking these regular breaks at least every half hour, at least 5 or 10 minutes away from my screen, moving around, getting the blood flowing, doing some stretches, giving my eyes a break because I do deal with some eye strain if I'm staring at the screen for too long. And then every 2 hours or so, I give myself a longer break. So sometimes I'll force myself to lie down and try to take a nap. I will plan at least like a half-hour walk or getting myself outside just to get some fresh air. So it's going to feel, like I said, counterintuitive to step away from your manuscript, but it's definitely going to help pace yourself. And that's one of the most important things for hitting a really big word count days. You really do need to pace yourself because otherwise you're going to maybe have a lot of energy in the morning and by lunchtime feel totally drained or something. So what I like to even do is sometimes I'll stop my sprints even when I'm feeling the most motivated, because then it's the easiest to get back in. Like I'm excited to get back in. I'm still going to pull myself away so that I can keep that level of excitement throughout the whole day. It's also very okay if your writing sprints are slower on your 20K day. So like if I have a typical writing day, for me, that looks like anywhere from like 4 to 10. 10 would be on the high end, like half-hour writing sprints in one day. When I'm doing that, I'll do, it's pretty common for me to hit 2,000 words in half an hour, anywhere from like 1,200 to 2,000 words in half an hour. Whereas when I'm doing a 20K day, like I'm not trying to hit 2,000 words in half an hour each and every sprint, because again, you really do need to think about pacing yourself. The other thing, and we kind of already touched about this, but is silencing all your distractions. So you can be as extreme as you want to be. If you're really distracted by things online, I would just say unplug the router for the day, put your computer on airplane mode, do something like that. Some people like to go away to write so there aren't any home distractions. I know for me, I actually prefer to write at home. And so it really just depends on what you're used to and what you're comfortable with. Another thing that's really helpful and can be really motivating on your 20K day is to be measuring all of your word sprints. So let's say you're doing half-hour sprints like I do. Just keep a list of how many words you write in each of those, and that can be motivating. And then maybe every 3,000 words, or every 5,000 words, or every time you reach a certain milestone, you can celebrate, even if all that is like, okay, I'm going to, I don't know, give myself a little star on the note card that I'm using. Like it doesn't have to be anything huge or big, but just recognizing and celebrating the little successes. Because even if you don't hit your big goal, 20K or whatever the big goal is that you set for yourself, you're still ending up with way more words this day than you started out with. And so every little milestone should for sure be celebrated. And that really is, in a nutshell, how to prepare for a 20K day. A couple things to just reemphasize is to don't jeopardize your health for this. So if you're getting like back spasms or, like your wrists feel like they're on fire, go ahead, give yourself permission to step away. That's where that kind of contingency plan that we talked about comes in. Stay motivated, stay excited, celebrate every writing sprint. So even if you don't hit the 20K, you're still for sure writing, you're in the zone, and the biggest, I think, victory in the 20K day, it has nothing to do with like how fast you type and everything to do with just your own determination. So if you think about a marathon, right? Like the people who do best at a running marathon aren't the people who are the fastest or even necessarily like the strongest, best athletes. They're the ones who are able to overcome all of these mindset blocks that tell them it's time to give up, right? And so that's why I get excited about these 20K days. It's less for me about getting so many words out and more about just seeing what I can do when I push myself, and then just be sure to remember to take some time off afterwards, celebrate however many words it was that you wrote, and then get ready for next time. You know, don't try these back to back or anything. You know, I'm a big proponent of just treating yourself gently. Even if you have a really big writing day like this, there's a way to do it where you're still, you know, not going crazy and hectic. So when and if you decide to hit a 20K day or whatever your word stretch goal is, I hope it goes really, really well for you and that you see tons of success. And we will talk to you guys later.